Good morning, everyone. This is Harmony with Harmony Stitches, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about my crafting journey. Right now, I am at the tail end of 12 days of stitching, so that's what we're going to talk about today. Besides that, I've done no knitting, no crocheting, nothing, so just focusing on these 12 days of stitching projects. So we'll go ahead and get started there. When I left you last Sunday, it was December 12th, and I was stitching on Christmas Bears by Owl Forest Embroidery. I had gotten a little bit of a head start because I woke up early, and I did get a little bit more done on this project, and I will put a picture in, of course, so that way you can see what it looks like. And if you can remember from last week, I decided to take out the Christmas trees and all of the snowflakes, and just do the bears and the border on the bottom and then repeat that border on the top. I think it's going to be super cute. So this is where I got to. I think last Sunday when I came to you, I had the border and the part of this bear going, but then I started this bear in the next day, I think. And I started on the sweater too. So that's quite a bit. I don't think it will take too long to get this finished. Maybe 4 more days, 5 maybe, to get this finished. So I will keep working on that. I am using the called for Dmc Conversion. Owl Forest Embroidery does dye their own floss, but they do convert it to DMC. However, I will say I'm not sure if it's a very good conversion because the red, what's supposed to be the red in the sweaters actually is pink. I'm okay with it. But you can, especially for smalls like this, you can change it to whatever you want. But I'm just going with the called for DMC. And then I'm stitching it on 18 count Aida that I coffee tea dyed. Actually, the Sunday was my second day, I think, of stitching on Christmas Bears. Because then Monday, I started Noel by tinyModernist. This was, a lot of these are freebies that I received somehow, but I don't remember if it was in a newsletter, on their Instagram, Facebook group. I'm not really sure, but it is a freebie from tinyModernist. I almost had this done in one day, and I would have if I didn't fall asleep. On Monday night, I fell asleep and didn't get all of the holly leaves done, but I had everything else done except for the holly leaves when I fell asleep on Monday night. So then, of course, Tuesday, I woke up right away and I got this done. I finished this. So that meant that I was able to either go back to a project that needed to be done or go to Merry Christmas by Teresa Kogut. And I chose to finish this one. This is also by tinyModernist, and it's a freebie. On this one, I had to put the holly berry down in the corner. I had to put the ribbons on all of the presents and then do these 4 here. Oh, and I believe the red ornaments on the tree. The tree also called for some blue garland, but the blue and the green DMC, once I stitched I did start the back stitching, but my daughter and I could not tell the difference between the blue and the green, so we thought, let's just leave the tree as it is with the ornaments. It's cute that way as well, so we left it. So I did finish this on Tuesday as well. And then I believe that I started working on Teresa Kogut's Merry Christmas, but I'll show you that in a minute. Wednesday then I started This Is My Joy by Little House Needleworks, and this is a thread pack. Mine came with apple fritter and black coffee, and you could mix or mash, you could do one of each, or you could blend them together in one chart, whatever you wanted to do. I stitched Merry Christmas by tinyModernist and this one on 20 count white Aida, and I was able to finish this in the 2 days. And I love how the variation turned out. I did try to place it a little bit. So if you can see, this palm tree started with the red and went up to the dark. So I see how it's the hearts are dark, so I wanted to start it light. Same thing over here. I didn't want too much of the same color right next to each other. And I kind of did the same thing with the sheep. He's standing on a hill of dark, so I wanted to start his legs in the light color. I don't know why this camera does not focus. iPhone says that you can make these amazing movies with this phone, but it does not focus for me. I have no idea why, and I can't get it to work. Maybe it's because I'm using the wrong camera. Maybe if I had it flipped around, it would, but then I wouldn't be able to see what I was doing. So there's that. Now I made one change on this. Right here by this little star thing, there's supposed to be 3 single stitches that kind of go on the bottom. And I decided to cut those out and move that kind of toward the center of that space because I didn't want the red thread to show from the background. Now, if I was stitching this, say on black fabric with white thread, I probably would do that, but not on this. I didn't want it to show through. So I did make that small change, just eliminated those 3 and moved that star stitch down. And I just want to show you how much, because I stitched this particular one with only 1 strand, and I have most of the skein left. I have, let's see, 3. I used 9 strands altogether to stitch this on 20 count. So that's a very good deal. And with the price that I paid for the chart and the 2 fancy floss, overdyed flosses, whatever you want to call it, I think that this was a super deal. So if your LNS has one of these still, you might want to consider it, because then you can use a couple strand, some of it for this chart, but then you'll have a whole nother skein to use on something else. So this is another finish. And then I worked on Teresa Kogut's Merry Christmas. I actually worked on this 3 times this week. I worked on it after I finished Noel and Merry Christmas from tinyModernist. I worked on it after This Is My Joy from Little House Needleworks. And then I worked on it last night on Saturday because I finished the project for that day as well. So you'll see a little bit, not too much, because by the evening time I do get pretty tired. But I was able to finish the A. If you remember, the little thing was not done. I finished the M, and then I started on the T. The T is actually 3/4 of the way done. So that's pretty good too. I'm stitching this with 2 strands as well on the 18 count coffee tea dyed Aida. So I did make a little bit more progress on this. I do not believe that this will get any more work through the 12 days of stitching because of what's left, which I will go over that with you as well. Okay, so next up was the January ornament, or January by Prairie Schooler. And I was going to stitch the ornament and get that one done because it was super quick. When I pulled this out and started stitching, I noticed that I did not have the blue that was called for the snowflakes. So I said to myself, well, just go ahead and stitch everything else if you have time on day 1, which was Friday. If you get done with everything that you can besides the snowflakes and the border, because there's a little border, I was going to save that for absolutely last, then you can go back to Teresa Kogut's Merry Christmas and work on that for a little bit, which is what I did, I believe. And then yesterday I went by the stitch shop and I got the 927 that I needed for the snowflakes. I was kind of worried that the snow hill wouldn't show up, but it's showing up pretty well here on camera and in the lighting in this room off camera as well. So I was able to get this finished, and I worked on the other piece. So the small ornament is done. Now I just have the middle piece, the mid-size piece, and then the large piece. I did cut all the fabric for this all at once, so that way I can save it and set it aside so they all match. That way I didn't commandeer the fabric for a different project and not have the matching, because I only have so much in my stash. Okay, so that took me through yesterday. Then today and tomorrow I will be working on Christmas House by that Italian designer. Some people call it Crocette. I'm not sure how to pronounce it in Italian. Google Translate could help us out with that. But I did start this morning. I did skip church, so I was able to stitch during service. This one is also a freebie. It does not say, excuse me, what color fabric to stitch it on. I had pulled, I believe, a 14 count Aida to stitch this on, kind of an ivory off-white color. And the other day at dinner, I was looking at the list that I posted in the description box for last week's video to see what was coming up. And I said to myself, that's got some snow in it. That is not going to show up on that fabric. And so I pulled up the pattern and I said to my husband, what do you think about me stitching this in black? There's only 10 black stitches and some back stitching. And that I can definitely just stitch the 5 black stitches. It's in the face of the, I can't show you because there's no mock-up, but it's in the face of the cardinals. Just so that way it matches the rest of the body. You won't be able to see them very well. And then there's a Christmas present that they're holding, and they're tying, the 2 cardinals are tying a bow, and the bow is back stitched in black as well, but I can easily change that to a different color and it will work out perfectly. So I did decide to put this on black, and that's the back. No one wants to see that. And really, it's in my opinion that it doesn't really matter what your back looks like because no one's going to see it anyways. So I started this during the morning and church, and it's almost this wide. I have a couple more stitches, I think, to put over on this side. There's this Christmas tree and fence will be mirrored on this side, and the house goes in the center. So it's almost as wide as it's going to be, and I think it's almost as tall as it's going to be. There's going to be a star at the top of the tree trunk. So that's a pretty, well, I have this whole big piece of fabric though. Because it says Merry Christmas or something at the top. There's some things at the top of the house. I was going to say, why did I cut my fabric that big if that's all that it is? The house is going to take me a while. And that's why I kind of left this one to last, because I knew it was just going to end up on the whip wheel. It does have a lot of colors. Let's see, this is 5, 9, 11 colors that are in this one. I did notice that when I was working with these, I have almost every single one of these colors in other projects that I could have probably kind of borrowed from there. Oh, and then 3820 and a little black. But, oh well. So this one will go on the whip wheel with some of the others that did not get done. So then I have 2 projects left. I have Country Cottage Needleworks, the Nativity. And it's a really small picture, so that's as good as I can get it. And if you remember last week, I started pulling the flosses. I don't have them all, but I think I can get some pretty good progress with what I have. I'm going to start, this is actually going to be the last project I start. This will be, okay, I'm working on that one today and tomorrow. So then Tuesday and Wednesday, I will be stitching on the next project. And that is, I have to put in a photo, and it's Merry Christmas or Folk Christmas or something like that by Artecy. So I'll stitch that first, and then on Thursday, I will start the Nativity, and I will work on that for the rest of the week or until I run out, like I can't do anymore because of needing more floss. And this is the fabric that I picked out for this. The color is not going to show up very well because it's blue, and that's just what the cameras do. It is supposed to be, I was told that it's Dove Gray Monaco. To me, it looks like kind of antique blue, dusty blue. I wasn't around when Monaco was at its height and popularity, so I'm not really sure if that's the correct color, but I did buy some of this probably about a year ago. And I have a whole nother big piece of this. I mean, this is pretty large in itself. It's folded. It's, I think, a half a yard or something. So there's plenty. Oops. It's like a map. You have to try to get it folded back up. Figure out how to fit it back. So I have plenty of this for this project. And I'm super excited to get started on that. So if my notes were correct, I have finished 7 projects out of the 11 that I have already started. That means 4 will end up on my whip wheel, well, 6 counting the last 2 because I won't be able to finish them either. But I feel that that's really cool and some great progress. I am noticing that on my table here, I do have Christmas Tree Farm by the Prairie Schooler. I could have probably started that and started the 2 little ornaments, but I ran out of space in my 12 days of stitching. So I'll have this for later. This kind of just the colors and the trees, and there's some deer. See, there's some deer here and the car with the tree. It kind of reminds me of just childhood, you know, Christmas. There is this Santa type figure, but I'm just pretending that's a townsperson dressed up like Santa to have fun. Because, you know, I don't really do Santa. So I thought that was really cool. And when growing up, we had a real tree every single year. And we went to one of my high school friends' family owned, on their property, they owned a Christmas tree farm. So we went there and supported their family with their Christmas tree, endeavor. And so we went every year and hunted up trees. My grandpa and my grandma got their tree, and then we got our tree, and it was just great fun. So I will stitch that later. I do have, like I said last week, I have the Joy, I think it's called Joy from Luminous Fiber Arts that came. So I have other projects to do as well. Maybe I'll do a Christmas in July. I'm not really sure. I'm not really a planner, like when you'll see other channels that talk about their plans for 2022. I really kind of don't roll that way. I do like to participate in fun short events like this, but I'm not going to plan out the whole year. Now, I will say that if I were to have a goal, I would like to start and finish a lot of the projects that I already have purchased, like the charts, some that I already have kitted up. I do have a lot of Prairie Schoolers that I have the fabric cut for. And then I have some other ones. I have a couple hands-on designs, and I have so many that I already have that I would like to stitch those before I venture out and purchase more. So hopefully we'll see that. We will be bringing the whip wheel back in January, after Christmas and the holidays, because I wanted to do 12 days of stitching, and I can't really do the whip wheel at the same time in 12 days of stitching. And then the remainder of the year after Christmas, starting on December 26th, I will be working on that crochet project for my daughter and the crochet blanket that I owe my friend from high school for her foster child that will be coming sometime. So that's the plans for the rest of the year, just to try to finish some things up. I know that I want to finish my Musselburgh hat that I'm knitting for myself. And I also want to get at least one of the sweaters that I have. I think I have 4 or 5 sweaters that are kind of in the works. One I need to switch needles for because the needles aren't working and the technique wasn't working for my eyelets. So I need to switch that up. So I need to rip it back to the ribbing and get that going. But I would like to finish at least one of the sweaters that I have up here. A couple years ago, in January, I set out to finish all of my whips. And at that time, I wasn't cross-stitching. And I finished all of the whips that I had. And then I immediately started all these other projects. And so once I started cross-stitching, I kind of started to ignore those. And I would like to get them back out and finish them. I spent good money on the yarn, so I feel horrible. Like the one sitting there staring at me. And that one I almost had finished. And the yoke was bad. And I think I showed it in my first video when I talked about whips. I'm not really I can't remember. The yoke was bad. And so many other ladies that were, and probably gentlemen, that were knitting that said the same thing, that the yoke was just not fitting and it was horrible. Well, I did notice that someone posted, this is what I did, and posted an after photo, and it was perfect. Like in my mind, it was perfect. So I did screenshot her instructions, and I need to rip it back. The problem is I did not start a Ravelry page, and I do not remember what size needles I was using. So, I may be in trouble. That happens to me sometimes, and I borrow the needles for something else, and I'm not really good at starting the Ravelry pages for those. And then what do I do now? I don't really know. So anyways, after all of that rambling on about my whips and the whip wheel and my crochet projects for the end of the year, I feel that I've made great progress. Sorry, I got a fuzz from something. That's always gross. I've made great progress. I am excited to get back to the whip wheel. I've got 6 additions to it, which is super crazy because it already had over 10. So that's going to be a really fun time to see what comes up on the whip wheel each week. And I think in order to add all of my other projects, I may do a new start each week too. One project would be worked on in the morning and the evening, and then the other project would be worked on my lunch break at work. That way I can get kind of even. It wouldn't be even. The new start would get the morning and the night, and then the whip would get lunchtime. But then that would serve 2 purposes. I am rambling again, but you may be interested, so I'm going to continue on. The whip would get some decent progress for 5 days worth of work at my lunch break, and then the new start would get a decent start by the end of the week, and then it would go on the whip wheel as well. So that's my the purpose behind me doing it that way. And then we'll just go from there. I do plan on doing a couple bonus cut videos. One for my finishes from July to the end of December. I did that for the first 6 months of the year, so I think I should probably do that for the second 6 months of the year if I can round everything up. And then I would do another bonus cut of the whips that I have going into 2022, so that way you all know where I'm starting from. And maybe if my finish video isn't too long, maybe I could mesh those into one bonus cut video. We will see. If you have a preference, if you would like that in 2 different videos or 1 video, go ahead and comment below, because I don't want it to be super long for you. I want it to fit your needs as well, because you're being kind enough to stop by and visit me each week. So I want the videos to be the length that you would need them. Other than that, I have rambled on enough. I don't have anything else to share at this time, I don't think. But of course, as always, I am welcome chatting with you in the comments, so you can always put it there. I hope that if you're making anything for Christmas, you have time to get it done. We have just a few more days. So until next Sunday, bye.